Hi, you guys. It's Dr. Debbie Pates. It's a little early, but if you are watching, tuning in right now and getting set up, then sorry, I'm getting distracted because this is different. That Facebook Live is a little bit different than it was the last time I used it. I may have to play around with this a little bit. But anyway, I can't really see myself. The thing is really tiny, and I don't want to play around too much and make it all messed up and not be able to do this at all. But anyway, if you are here and you are wanting to join me today, I am going to be using a block and a strap during session. Probably this, yeah, we'll use the strap. Strap is a little bit more optional, but one of the things I want to do is definitely going to use a block. So if you have a block and strap, go ahead and get it. We've got a couple of minutes. If you did not, if you don't have a block and you missed my fabulous tutorial, basically you can just take a towel, roll it, and cinch it together, wrap it with rubber bands. So anyway, in a minute or two we're going to get started. And thank you, John. I can only see myself a tiny little thumbnail on the corner there, so that's what's confusing. But anyway, it looks to me like I'm set up the way I have been previously. So anyway, get yourselves settled in, and we'll get started in a minute or so. Hi, you guys. Namaste. This is Dr. Debbie Pates, and welcome to the April 8th edition of Wellness Wednesday, Yoga at GOCA, the virtual edition. It's hard to believe that this is the fourth week, I'm pretty sure, that we've been doing this online. Wow. So I wanted to start by this is my mask. Hold on. I just got off camera and checked it out. But anyway, I have a few, but this is my mask. I made it from some fabric I got in Indonesia. When I wear it outside, it is a little bit better. But I wanted to talk about masks today and what happens when we take them off. Thank you for joining me. Let's start, as always, in child's pose. I'm going to back up here. So bring your knees wide if you want to get into your hips more, and if you want to get more into rounding your low back, then bring your knees together. And wherever you are, bring your forehead to the earth. If your knees are together, I'm not going to keep my head down so I won't be muffled, but if your knees are together, maybe you have your hands alongside your body, palms facing up. If you're, or knees together, you could have your arms in front of you. If your knees are wide, you're definitely going to want to have your arms out in front of you, and let your head drop. And start to breathe. Of course, you've been breathing all day already, but begin to breathe consciously, taking some long, deep breaths, and just drop. Especially now that our work and our home and our leisure are very much all the same place. It's really important to take a moment to drop into the space of yoga, to allow yourself to step away from, even if it's just sort of metaphorically, even if your mat is rolled out right next to your desk, which might be your kitchen table. Take a moment to tap into your breath, to put aside whatever it is that you were doing before, and let this hour be dedicated to your yoga practice. I practiced a little bit earlier today, and I got into child's pose and I started to cry. So I really invite you, as we move through this practice, to allow whatever it is that you're feeling to come to the surface and be present. Don't try to push it away. It's okay. It's really okay to feel what you feel. And if what you're feeling right now is, wow, this is awesome, I have an hour to do yoga, then wonderful, please stay in that place. But I encourage you, as we move through the practice, if that begins to shift, please stay open and receptive to that. We don't have to latch onto it, right? Part of the point of mindfulness is to become aware of what is with a curiosity, not a grasping. So that curiosity allows it to surface, but then pass. And speaking of passing, I have 3 animals who may or may not pass through. From child's pose, push up onto your hands and knees, starting the way we almost always do. Drop your stomach, lift your gaze, move on into some cat-cows, hands underneath your shoulders, knees underneath your hips. On an inhale, dropping your stomach, lifting your tailbone, lifting your gaze. And on an exhale, tucking your tailbone, rounding your spine, chin to chest, pushing through your shoulder blades, making any other movements, maybe going side to side, kind of hula hooping the rib cage around, whatever might feel good to you, and really be kind to your body. You know, again, we're spending a whole lot more time at home. Oh, a whole lot more time for most of us. And we're using our bodies differently. So be conscious that your body might show up differently and be kind about that. And then come on back to a neutral spine and make your way to a plank position. So maybe walk your hands forward a little bit, walk your feet back. Again, hands are still underneath your shoulders, heels pushing back. And try to keep your body as flat and as steady as possible, and keep your breath steady as well. And then, without moving your hands or your feet from plank position, push up into downward dog. So you lift your hips high, bend your knees a lot here. For a lot of us, bending our knees allows us to really more forcefully push into our hands and push up through our tailbone to get a lot of length in the spine. And then if you get that length in the spine, once you get that length, become aware of where your weight is in your hands, and maybe roll your weight into your thumb and your forefinger, not too strongly, you still want weight distributed. And then if you can keep all of that active, keeping a length in your spine, maybe you begin to straighten your legs. Straightening your legs is not a goal here. Pushing your heels toward the floor, getting your heels onto the floor isn't a goal either. The goal is to just get a strong stretch through the backs of your legs, feel your shoulder blades sliding down your back, and then take a bunch of baby steps. Walk to the top of your space and hang in ragdoll. Feet about hip width distance, knees soft. Maybe bend your elbows and tuck your hands in the crook of the opposite elbow. Wherever you are, let your head be heavy, and your neck be long, right? Think about taking the wrinkles out of the back of your neck. Breathe. Breathe. Imagine the breath coming in from the earth, up through your strong legs, over your back, and then cascading like water, that exhale, helping your spine, the crown of your head, move even more close to the floor. Your knees can be bent. Your knees can be bent throughout this whole practice, right? Protecting your hamstrings. And then from ragdoll, release your hands if they've been clasped, and make a choice: feet hip width distance or feet big toes together, sides of your feet, outsides of your feet parallel to the edge of your mat. So for most of us, if your big toes are together, your heels are going to be a little separate, and then roll up. Trying to stack vertebra on top of vertebra, and then letting your chin stay on your chest, head comes up last. We're definitely not in a hurry here. And when you get up, roll your shoulders up and back and down. And actually, let's do that a couple of times. So earlier this week, I recorded a video that I put on YouTube called Workday Stretch or something like that. And I'm going to incorporate a bunch of that stuff here. So really get juicy with your shoulders. And while you're doing that, maybe lift your kneecaps, engage your quadriceps, reverse your shoulders if you want. Just letting, we've been sitting, I can't say that enough, right? Let your body, let your heart, your upper body start to open up here. And then come to stillness. Lift your kneecaps, engage your quadriceps. Maybe lift your toes. Feel your whole legs engaged here. Feel yourself rising through the crown of your head. Inhale your arms up. Bring your palms together over your head and pull your own energy into your heart. And pause for a moment. Bring your thumbs onto your sternum right by your heart. Feel your heart beating into your hands. Maybe close your eyes. It's all going to be okay. It's all going to be okay. Inhale your arms up. Let's move right into some stretches. Grab your left wrist with your right hand. Reach up and over. So you're going to use your bottom hand, your right hand to pull your left hand over. And maybe jut your left hip out a little bit so that you're getting a nice stretch through the left side of your body. And keep breathing. Only go down as far as you can go while still breathing freely. Come on back up. Inhale, separate your hands. Cactus your arms. Squeeze your shoulder blades together. Keep your thighs engaged here, but open your heart. Reach your arms back up. Grab your right wrist with your left hand. Pull up and over. Send your right hip out as you lean over to your left side. Using your left hand, try to keep your hip open, right? I caught myself starting to angle down a little bit. Try to make this a side stretch. And maybe it doesn't look very deep, right? But if you're going as deep as you can go, if you're doing your best, what more can you ask of yourself? And maybe that's a really important message in this time. Come on back up center. One more time. Cactus your arms, squeeze your heart open. Inhale your arms up. Dive forward or hands through heart center. Forward fold. Bring your hands to your shins. Lengthen your spine. Halfway lift. Pause here. Squeeze your shoulder blades onto your back. So for me to really get my shoulder blades on my back, I actually have to bring my hands to my thighs. And lengthen through the crown of your head. Lengthen through your spine. You can almost push in, really feeling your back, your whole core engaged, right? So we think of core as stomach, but that's our back as well. Really feel yourself engaged here. Lengthen, and then exhale, fold. Take that length down and sweep up with a flat back. Inhale, rise. Bring your hands up overhead, palms together. Exhale, hands to your heart. Keep moving. Inhale your arms up. Uttanasana, forward fold. Ardha Uttanasana, halfway lift. This time put your hands down underneath your shoulders and step back to high plank position. We're going to be in plank quite a few times. Always option to put your knees down on the floor. From plank, let's do a pretty challenging balancing pose. So really, I walked my hands in a little bit to get a little bit more stable, if you guys notice that. Push really actively through your right heel and kind of come up a little bit. Take some weight out of your left foot. Okay, and maybe you lift your left foot up off the ground. Maybe you're just on your left toes. And then shift some weight into your left foot is up. Shift the weight into your left hand and come up onto your right fingertips. And then if you feel like you can, keeping your plank pose, not sticking your butt up, reach your right hand out in front of you. Woo, that's some core strength for you right there. Okay, put it all down. Lift your hips up, downward facing dog. Take a break. Breathe. All right, that's enough of a break. Shift back to high plank. Same thing, other side. So lift up, come up on your right toes. Okay, and then maybe lift your whole right leg. Push actively through your left leg. That's your big part of your foundation here. Shift weight into your right hand. Ooh, I don't know if I can do it on this side. Reach your left hand out in front of you. So try not to put your butt up in the air. It's hard. Keep breathing. Put it down. Ha, push back. Downward facing dog. So why the heck am I doing this crazy stuff? Because life is challenging. We all know that right now. So let's challenge ourselves on the mat and try to show up in a calm way, right? Challenge yourself, but try to show up calmly. This is hard, but that doesn't mean I need to freak out. That doesn't mean I need to panic. And you know what, you guys, if you panic a little bit, that's okay. But just remember to come back to your breath. Remind yourself, I've got this. I'm practicing this right now. Look in between your hands from downward facing dog and step to the top of your mat. You can always jump. Halfway lift, lengthen, inhale. Exhale, take it down, forward fold. Rise with a flat back, sweep your arms up. Bring your hands overhead. Bring your palms together and bring your hands to your heart. Regular sun A. Inhale your arms up. Uttanasana, forward fold. Dive your hands through heart center. Halfway lift, inhale. Put your hands down and step back to high plank, opposite foot. Inhale in high plank, knees on or off the floor. Chaturanga, or laying all the way down onto the floor. Cobra or upward facing dog. Pull your shoulders back and your heart through. Pause here. Notice your low back and maybe think about sending your tailbone more toward your toes. So almost a pelvic tilt here, and feel some lengthening in your low back as you continue to pull, almost getting some drag on your feet, lengthening out of your low back, and then lift your hips, downward facing dog, come to the tops of your toes. So when you're in up dog, or you could always take cobra, your toenails are on the floor, then we flip over our toes to downward facing dog. Look in between your hands, step to the top of your space, halfway lift, inhale, forward fold, take it down, sweep up, rise, bring your hands overhead, and pull your energy into your heart. Pause, feel your heart beat. Come back to your center, recenter. Inhale up, one more sunny. Forward fold, exhale. Halfway lift, lengthen. Step it back, high plank. Make your way to down dog, chaturanga, or all the way to the floor, cobra or upward facing dog. And then exhale to downward facing dog. Drop your knees to the floor. So we're going to alternate between a variety of poses. Drop your knees to the floor. What I mean is taking the energy up and taking the energy down. Separate your feet so that you can sit in between your knees. If you have a block, and this is if this is too much on your knees, you could sit on a block. If your butt is on the ground and you're good, or if it's too much, you can lean forward a little bit, yeah? If you're okay, maybe you start to walk your hands back. Please keep your knees on the floor. Even if your knees separate, only go so far as you can with your knees staying on the ground. So I'm going to go back about this far today. Some people can, here we go. Some people can come onto their elbows. Some people can lay all the way down onto their back. That's not what's good for me today. Keep breathing. Maybe let your head drop back. A little precursor to something we're going to do later. Begin to open up your heart here. Breathe into, gosh, whatever it is you're feeling. And then begin to come on up. Slowly, one hand after the other. Walk forward, come onto your hands and knees. And shake it out. Shake out one leg and then the other. That can be kind of rough on the knees. So just let them decompress. And then lift up back into downward facing dog. And perhaps notice if this down dog feels different than the others. Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. No judgment, just notice. And then look in between your hands and step or jump to the top of your space. Choice for your feet, half hip width or together, half lift. Forward fold. Rise with a flat back and a strong stomach. Up, hands overhead. Pull them in to your heart. Sink into chair. Bend your knees. Lift your arms up. Bring your biceps by your ears if you can. If that creates tension in this posture, maybe bring your hands out in front of you. Maybe bring your hands to your heart. I turned toward the camera here because I want you to see my feet are hip width and my knees are also hip width. So I'm activating my inner thighs here. If you want to have your feet and your knees together, that's actually a little bit less challenging. And yes, I know we're holding this posture for a while. But what I don't want you to do is if you have your feet hip width, don't knock your knees in. Pick one or pick the other. Forward fold from here. Ooh, nice hold, you guys. Halfway lift. Step back to high plank. Chaturanga, or all the way to laying on the floor. Cobra, or upward facing dog. Downward facing dog. You're going to do a pretty straightforward sun B flow. Lift your right foot up. Bring it through for a low lunge. Turn your back foot flat. Rise to warrior one. And then open up to warrior two. Keep your right knee tracking out toward the right. Sink a little bit further into that right knee. Reach your right arm forward, your left fingertips back. Really creating some traction across the whole top of your body there. And then reach forward and tilt, extended side angle. We're going to hold this first time here. So maybe you could have your hand on the floor if you have the flexibility for that. You can have your hand pushing out onto your right thigh, or that's your shin, I guess. Or you can have your hand resting on your right knee, wherever you are. Reach your left arm up. And also maybe use the strength of this arm here, the bottom arm, as leverage to roll your heart open. So right rib cage rolls under, left rolls open, and maybe you even let your left hand fall back a little, if you have the freedom to do that in your body. And then if you opened up, come on back to more straight line. Keep your right knee bent. Reverse your warrior. Move your right knee forward and your right hand back. Letting your left hand either go down your leg or maybe you slide it behind your back, possibly even hook it onto the top of your right thigh. Reach further and then helicopter down, hands down to the mat under your shoulders, step back, high plank, inhale, exhale, chaturanga or the floor. Go down slow, use your strength, up dog or cobra, and then exhale, downward facing dog. Other side, lift your left leg up, bend your knee and bring it through, low lunge. Get your knee and your heel lined up, spin your back foot flat, rise up to warrior one, and then open up warrior two. Right arm reaching back this time, left arm reaching forward, Nice bend in your left knee tracking out toward pinky toes. Reach forward, extended side angle. So again, maybe your hand is on the floor or a block. Maybe your hand is pushing onto your thigh or shin. Maybe it's resting on your knee. But wherever you are, use that leverage to roll. This time left ribs open, under rather, and find openness in your chest. Breathe, breathe. And maybe the openness is just a feeling of a little bit more freedom. Come on back to center. Ooh, you might lose your balance. Reverse your warrior. Keep your left knee tracking forward. Left arm reaches up from your waist, lifting your ribs, coming back. Let right hand going maybe down your leg, maybe behind your back. It's a nice shoulder opener. Reach, breathe. Helicopter down. Step back to high plank, chaturanga, or all the way down to the earth, cobra or upward facing dog. To downward facing dog. Look in between your hands. Step, jump, hop. Take a bunch of little steps. Top of your space, halfway lift. Forward fold. Bend your knees. Rise to chair. Stand up. And bring your hands in to your heart. Inhale your arms up. Utkatasana, chair. Forward fold. Halfway lift. Come back to plank dandasana. Inhale. Exhale, chaturanga dandasana. Upward facing dog. Urdhva Mukha Svanasana. Adho Mukha Svanasana. Down dog. Lift your right leg up. Bring it through for a low lunge. Heel under knee. Warrior one. Open. Warrior two. Reach. Extended side angle. Keep your knee bent. Just tick-tock your body back. Reverse warrior. Take it down. High plank. Low plank. Up dog. Down dog. Lift your left leg up. Keep breathing. Low lunge. Spin your back foot flat. Warrior one. Two. Reach. Extended side angle. Reverse your warrior and take it back to the floor. Keep breathing as you step back to plank. Lower chaturanga. Up dog or cobra. Downward facing dog. Look in between your hands. Make your way to the top of your space. Half lift is an inhale. Keep your neck long. Forward fold. Bend your knees. Chair. Come to standing. And bring your hands in to your heart. One more time through. Bend your knees. Lift your arms. Chair pose. Forward fold. Halfway lift, inhale. High plank. Low plank. Upward facing dog. Cobra. Downward facing dog. Lift your right leg up. Bring it through, low lunge. Back foot flat. Warrior one. Two. Extended side angle. Reverse, inhale. Exhale. All the way down. If you can complete your exhale through chaturanga. Inhale. Up dog. Exhale. Down dog. Lift your left leg up. Low lunge. Rise, warrior one. Open. Warrior two. Reach. Extend. Reverse. And take it down. Chaturanga. Up dog. To downward facing dog. Drop to your knees. Child's pose for a couple of breaths. Feel whatever it is that you feel. Maybe you feel your heart beating quickly. Breathe. And from here, come up into a Anahatasana, puppy dog pose. So bring your hips over your knees and let your chest hammock squeeze your shoulder blades together. And then slide your right hand underneath your left armpit. Let your right ear come to the floor. Your palm is up on your right hand. And so this is called thread the needle. Shift around so that you find a position where you feel a nice stretch on the outside of your right shoulder. And if that's not possible, but you're feeling a stretch somewhere else, then just get juicy in whatever it is that you feel. It's okay. Come on back to center and switch sides. Slide your left hand underneath your right armpit, turn your left ear to the mat, and shift around until you can find a stretch in the top of your left shoulder. So maybe you play around with the position of one or both hands. Maybe you shift your hips a little bit. And come on back to center. Tuck your toes, lift your hips. Downward facing dog. Lift your right leg up into the air. Bend your knee, bring it through for a low lunge. And this time, drop your back knee, left knee, and untuck your left toes. Bring your hands to the inside of your left foot, right foot. Bring your hands to the inside of your right foot. And pause here. We're going to come into runner's lunge, or deeper runner's lunge. So if you have a block, you can put your block underneath your forearms. If you cannot, put your forearms on the ground. You don't need to bend your elbows at all. Maybe you watched my tutorial and made your own block, so you might want to use that. This block is a rolled up towel secured by rubber bands. But wherever you are, breathe. So in between all of the sitting that we've been doing, a lot of us have been getting out and walking, or as the weather gets warmer, maybe riding our bikes, running. All of those are kind of forward motions for our hips. So opening up our hip in a slightly different way, allowing some of that stuff to release. Some of you guys might feel this on your inner leg, more on the hamstring. Wherever it is that you feel it, just breathe into it. So I talked about taking off your mask. Let's come up and come into Ardha Hanumanasana, half split. So shift your hips back, straighten your right leg to the best of your ability. Walk your hands toward your right foot. So we're looking to keep lengthening in our upper body, almost as if you wanted to get the crown of your head beyond your foot here and breathe. All right, so we're walking around, we're outside, taking a walk, getting the animals outside, whatever it is, going to get the mail. And you see all people walking around wearing masks. I actually wish I saw more people walking around wearing masks. But it's this very distancing thing, right? Even if we smile and say hi to our neighbor, there's still this sense of distance. Rebend your knee. Bring your hands one on either side of your right foot. Tuck your left toes. Lift your left knee. Step back. High plank. See if you can just do that as easy, cleanly as possible without lifting your hips. Stay in a high plank here. Spin your heels to the right. Lift your left arm up. Vasisthasana, side plank. Push up through your left hip. Really lift through your right obliques, the side of your body there. Breathe. Have your neck in whatever position feels good for it. Looking up, looking down. If you want to bend your knee and grab it, top knee obviously. Maybe some of you guys can grab your toes. And then bring your left hand down, left foot down. You're in high plank. Choose to go through vinyasa or not. Make your way to downward facing dog. And then lift your left leg up. Bend your knee and bring it through. Heel underneath knee. Drop your right knee. Runner's lunge on this side. Toe heel your foot up a little bit so that your heel's beyond your knee this time. Creating space here for yourself. Bring your hands on the inside. And come on down to your degree. And breathe. Maybe your hands are on the block, maybe you're not bending your knees at all, or your elbows at all, I mean. So, back to my mask theme. These masks creating distance, and I don't know about you, but it feels even a little bit stifling. It's hard to breathe in my mask. That doesn't mean I take it off. It's important to wear it, but when I get home, I'm so relieved to be able to take off my mask in this safe environment. And that got me starting to think about taking off masks. We all wear masks when we go out, now literally, but I mean figuratively, metaphorically. We wear masks. What mask do you put on for the world? Bring your torso up, shift back. Ardha Hanumanasana, half split. To pull, straighten-ish, straighten your left leg. Think about also pulling your left hip crease back a little bit. Then walk your hands toward your left foot and try to lengthen through the crown of your head toward your left toes. So we have these different roles, right? We play different parts in our work, at home, with our children, with our best friend, our partners. When do you take off your mask? What if we were going to take off our masks? And then I was thinking, well, if we were going to take off our masks, I mean, wouldn't it be lovely if when this order is off, whatever, if we could just take off our masks and it would be like, hey, here's me, here's the real me without my mask on. Rebend your left knee, tuck your right toes, lift your right knee, step back, high plank. I just messed up my mat situation here. Step back, high plank, lower chaturanga, or all the way to the floor, upward facing dog or cobra. Exhale to downward facing dog. Look in between your hands and step or jump to the top of your space. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. While you're down here, if you have a strap, maybe grab that guy and place it next to you. Bring your knees, then bring your feet together this time. Bend your knees, Utkatasana, chair pose. Bring your hands together at your heart and twist. Bring your left elbow to the outside of your right knee. Bring your left knee back in line with your right elbow. Push your knees into your elbow. Push your top hand into your bottom hand. So you're using the strength of your arms to help spin your heart toward the side. And then fold, fold. Separate your feet hip width distance here. I just remembered that I forgot side plank on the other side, so we'll get to that. Forward fold here. And slide your hands underneath your feet, palms up. Bend your knees enough so that you can have your toes on your wrist creases. So if you were to take off your mask, you would have to know yourself. So start right here in this posture. Know yourself. Explore what's showing up. How bent are your knees? Mine are so bent that my stomach is on my thighs. But maybe you don't need to do that. Maybe you bend your elbows out to the side. Maybe you work on straightening your legs. Maybe you work on shifting your weight more into your toes, onto your wrists. So my head is a little bit, my neck is engaged so that I can project better. But for you guys, have your neck soft and heavy. And then release your hands. If you're flexible enough and you know you can do this, if you know where I'm going, some of you guys do, grab your right foot with the big toe of your right foot with your first two fingers. Otherwise, whoa, losing my balance. Take your strap and hook it over your right ball of your foot, arch-ish, and have some play in your strap. You might be using a towel or a necktie or a dog leash, it doesn't matter. Bring your hands, your right hand is holding the strap, left hand to your hip. Soften your left knee, shift your weight into your left foot, and without thinking very much about this, stand up and bring your left foot with you. So if you have, I'm standing on a couple mats, it's not very stable, but try to bring your left foot out in front of you. And I meant right foot, sorry. Woo. There we go. So if you can't reach your toes and straighten your leg at the same time, that's what using the strap is for. You can also just have your hand on your knee if that works better for you. And then, my balance is pretty off right now, so do your best here like I am. Bring your right leg, bring your right leg out to the right. Bring your left arm out to the left, and maybe you look over your left hand. But if, like me, your balance is really off today, maybe just keep your head steady. But if you can, challenge yourself to go wherever is best for you. Bring your leg back to center. Release the strap if you have it. Straighten your leg, even if it wasn't straight before. Doesn't have to be high as you can, as high as you want. Maybe that's 1 inch off the floor, arms up overhead, and then come on into airplane pose. So teeter-totter your body forward. Bring your leg behind you, your arms behind you, palms open facing the floor. And breathe. Point your toes down and try to get a little bit of up dog in your upper body here, right? So I'm trying to open up my heart. Maybe your arms and your leg are higher than anything else. And then bring your bring your hands down, standing splits. Let your head be heavy. Release through your low back. Maybe bring your hands toward your standing foot. And then drop your right foot to meet your left. Bring your toes together. Bend your knees. Chair. Bring your hands to your heart and twist. Right elbow to the outside of your left knee. Bring your right knee back. Push your knee into your elbow, elbow into your knee. Top hand into your bottom hand, and if it's okay with your neck, look up. Getting a nice twist. Rinsing out organs, at least that's what they tell us in the yoga teacher training school. And then release. Separate your feet. And let's do a crow pose here. So before we go into the other balance on the other side, bend your knees and so just where you are, bend your knees, separate your knees, and bring your knees to the outsides of your arms. I'm scrunching down here really low to try to get into my armpits. And then I'll see if I can turn sideways. This probably looks really lovely. Hands are on the floor, chaturanga position, so right underneath your shoulders. Maybe you stay here. This actually feels really nice for my low back. I'm pushing into my arms and kind of reaching the crown of my head away. So maybe you're here and you're like, wow, that was nice. I'm going to stay there. Or you want to move forward into crow. So then you shift your weight onto the backs of your arms. Get really light in your toes. Lift your head up, right? Because when your head is down, it rocks you down. Lift your head up, shift your weight into the back of your arms, maybe lift one foot, and maybe you lift both feet. And wherever you are, breathe. Try to take a couple of breaths here. In and out. Really honest breaths. So taking off your mask involves you knowing what's showing up for you. Release. Come into that forward fold, and we're going to move into the balance on the other side. You know what? Before we do that, roll up to standing and just shake it out. Cha-cha-cha. Shake it out a little bit. And then, okay, you don't have to say cha-cha-cha. You can do a little free dancing if you want, because you're at home and you can do whatever you want. Slide your strap underneath the ball or arch of your left foot. Bring your right hand to your right hip. shift the weight into your right foot. I'm going to try to get off my weird mat setup here, and then without thinking too much about it, stand up and bring your leg with you. So perhaps like me, this is a whole different experience. Oops, I spoke too soon. So try to straighten out your leg. You're standing on your right leg. Your left leg is extended, maybe with the block. Maybe you're holding onto your toe. Maybe you're holding onto your knee. I'm just going to call it quits there. Try to stand up tall, engage your core. Bring your left leg out to the left. Bring your right arm out to the right. If you want, if you can, bring your gaze over your right thumb. Couple of breaths. Keep breathing. When things get hard, don't hold your breath. Notice whether you're doing that now. Bring your knee back to center. Extend your leg. Lift your arms up. Notice a tendency to lean back and correct that. Now your core is engaged. Right? And then tilt forward. Come into airplane pose. Maybe your arms and legs are higher than everything. Bring your hands down to the floor, standing splits for a moment. You can have your hands next to your standing leg, even grab onto your standing calf if that feels good. Continuing to balance a little bit longer. And then bring your foot down, feet meet. And this time, you know what? I don't want to forget, so let's move right into that side plank. So this is not going to be a fancy transition. Step back, high plank. Left hand on the ground this time. Roll over. Lift your right arm. And again, whatever variations on this pose you want. So maybe you lift your top leg. Maybe you grab onto your knee. Some people can grab their toes and extend their top leg. Play around with it. Feel free to experiment. And then bring your hands down, lift up, downward facing dog. Okay, back to where I was going to go with this. Drop your knees. You guys are not going to like me for this. Drop your knees, tuck your toes if they weren't tucked already, and come to standing on your knees with your toes tucked. And breathe. So this is a very, very difficult posture for many people. We're opening up a lot through our feet. If this is like, I'm dying, maybe shift forward a little bit. Maybe if you're feeling like you have more, you go back. I can kind of do that. But again, you want to keep your knees on the ground because you want to keep the toes getting the love here. I know it doesn't feel like love. Maybe open up your shoulders, let your head drop back. And then that's enough love for the toes. Come on, forward. Untuck your toes. Ooh, 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 ooh. Sit on your knees for a moment. Roll your shoulders up and back and down, around a couple of times. And staying in either this position or a different seated position, drop your chin to your chest. And without further ado, gently start to make some circles with your neck. As fast or slow as you want, keeping your breath steady, keeping your breath moving, noticing the snaps and the crackles and the pops when you get to center, switch direction. Noticing whether there are any places that you want to pause and hang out a little bit longer. And if so, do that. And then come on back to center and stand up on your knees. We're going to do a version of gate pose. Actually, you know what? Let's do gate pose, and then we'll do this other version of gate. So stand up on your knees and let your right leg extend. I think that you guys are seeing a reverse, but anyway, one foot, it doesn't matter. Let your right foot come out, bring your foot flat. Lift your left arm up, lift your left arm up, and begin to reach over. Sliding your right hand down your left leg, getting a stretch through the left side of your body. Maybe play around with your neck, rolling up or down. And then come on out of this and switch sides. Standing on both knees, left leg comes long, lift your right arm up and over. Left hand sliding down your left leg. Try to keep your hips facing forward, right? We want to kind of collapse and bring the left hip, the one with our extended leg, back. But keep that guy going forward. Let it feel good. And then come on back up. And, okay, so here's this thing that we're going to do. I'm going to turn sideways. What I want you guys to do is lift up both arms and turn your body. Take a twist, turn your body open to the right. And then lift your left arm up. Keep first this is important, keep your hips and your knees in line. We're doing a version of camel pose. Keep your hips and your knees in line. I'm tucking my right heel up on purpose. Let me grab a block too to show you guys my makeshift block. Because you could use a block too. I'm tucking my right heel up on purpose. Lift your arm, you're twisted. Right arm comes down, maybe onto your right heel that's tucked, maybe onto a block, and allow your body to back bend and twist and open. You play around with maybe coming straight back. Whatever feels good. Allowing your body to open, and then come on back. Up to center. That's pretty challenging. And switch sides. So I'm going to tuck my left toes, twist my body open to the left, bring my right arm up, left arm down. Honor the integrity of this pose. Keep your hips and your knees in line. And you want to be reaching up and coming out of your low back, not crunching into it. Breathe. And come on back to center, hands down, lift your hips up, downward facing dog, and check in with your low back. How's your low back doing? Be honest here. So if you want to take off your mask in front of other people, you need to know yourself. So right this moment, really honestly show up for what is showing up for you already. Shift forward, high plank, and slowly lower all the way to laying on the ground. Untuck your toes, clasp your hands behind your back. Lift your legs, squeeze your palms together, lift your hands off your back, and then keep going, pull up. And lift whatever you can here. Right? Working all those muscles on the back of your body doesn't feel easy, but that doesn't mean it's not worthy. Lift, lift, lift. Release. Palms up alongside your body. Turn your head to the right, left ear on the mat. And feel your heart beating against the earth. Sometimes we even wear a mask to ourselves. No, I'm not really feeling that. That's a bad feeling. That's a unkind feeling. That's a whatever, right? What if you were to show up for yourself? Especially now in this really crazy coronavirus time. Bring your head back to center. Bend your knees. Let's come on into bow pose. So reach back and grab your feet with both hands inside or outside. If you had to, widen your knees to grab your feet, bring your feet back hip width distance, and once again, kick. And let that kick lift everything. Let the strength of your feet and your grip muscles help open up your shoulders. Strong kick. Your upper body is hanging off your legs, but it's also working and lifting itself. Release, turn your head to the opposite side, palms up alongside your body. right here on the mat. Breathe. And then bring your head back to center. Bring your hands underneath your shoulders as if you were going to do an up dog or cobra, because that's exactly what you're going to do. Come on into upward facing dog or cobra. Downward facing dog. Drop your knees onto the ground here. Come into a seated position. So here's one that I did in my work from home yoga break thing. You are going to want to use your strap here if you have it. We're going to come into a position called cow face. So bring your left foot as if you're coming into a standard cross-legged position, but center your left knee as best as you can in front of you, and then bring your right leg up and over so that your knees are stacked. It's called cow face. Sometimes in this pose, like for me right now, my right butt cheek's riding high a little bit. So I will come forward and just sort of reposition and sit back. If your butt is having trouble being on the ground, maybe move your feet away from you and sit up straight. Here's where you're going to want your strap. So take your strap in your right hand and drop your right hand behind your back, your elbows sticking up. And then take your left hand and slither it up in between your shoulder blades. So you want both hands in between your shoulder blades. If you can grab your fingertips here, you don't need the strap. But for most of us, we do need the strap to create that connection where our fingers aren't long enough or our shoulders aren't open enough or whatever. And then from here, if you need more, I don't really need more, so I'm going to stay here. But for some of you guys, bow forward. Maybe you can come forward enough so that your forehead is on the mat or your chin or whatever. Breathe. Show up for yourself. I know for me, in these days of being mostly at home, although I'm out around my house quite a bit, on my front porch or my back deck, there's a lot of different stuff showing up. Most of the time I'm okay. I'm fine. I'm lucky to be with a partner I love, in a beautiful home. I have food. But sometimes I'm not fine. And it isn't fun when that shows up. But I don't need to put on a mask in front of myself. I can let myself feel what I feel, even if what I feel is unpleasant. Release your top hand. Bottom hand likes to come out of this slowly, so let it easily come out. And then we're going to go to the other side. So you can just switch your legs, or you can do something kind of fun, which is come forward and turn to your left. Walk your hands around behind you. Walking, walking, walking. Go in a circle and come all the way back front. Drop your right knee. Et voila! You're back in the pose, kind of, sort of. So if you need to shift, have your feet in or out, wherever, but basically try to have your feet even with each other, whether they're in or out. Take your strap. You may, if you use the strap on the other side, either way, unless you know you're super flexible, our sides are different. So you may need the strap on this side. Let your left hand drop behind your back, holding the strap. Reach your right hand behind your back and up. I forgot to say on the other side. So if you're right-handed, you're going to have a little bit tougher time on this side because your right side is stronger and therefore tighter. Try not to let your top hand push your neck forward. Breathe, and if you need more, bow forward. It doesn't mean that when something negative shows up, like, oh my God, what is going on in the world today? Or I'm worried about my parents, or, whatever it is. It doesn't mean that you have to dwell on it and let it ruin your day, right? So mindfulness, we approach with gentle curiosity, right? What is showing up here? Isn't that interesting? And then we allow it to be without being reactive to it as best as possible. And then we allow it to dissipate. So I'm sad, or I'm frightened, or I'm bored, or I'm frustrated, whatever it is. But then you just acknowledge that it's there, as difficult as it is. Bad things feel bad, but that doesn't mean we don't feel them. But we also don't need to then keep hanging on to it. You can let it go. And speaking of let go, release your top hand. Let your right arm come out easily. Maybe roll your shoulders up and around and down a little bit. One more time here. And then from here, let's do another hip opener. Let me check my time. Oops. No, we're not going to do that because we're kind of out of time here today, and I want to honor that time for you. And I said we're going to do something with the block. So I have a block, that regular yoga block, and I also have my handy dandy arts and craft project, which is a towel rolled up and secured with rubber bands. What I want you to do is uncross your legs and come into a lying down position. And you can use the block here or your towel. What I want you guys to do is put this, we're going to lay down and put the block, I'm calling this a block, along your spine, in between your shoulders, and allow it to help your body open. So with this towel, and find a place, you might have to move it around a little bit, up, further down. Let your arms be open. Let your chest be open. So we're opening up our hearts here. You want to have your head resting on something. This should feel really juicy. So for me, with the towel, my head can rest on the floor. But when I use a block, my head doesn't rest on the floor. I'm pretty small. Those of you guys who know me in real life know that. My head doesn't rest, and this is not very comfortable to have my head hanging down. So what I do is I scoot so that the very base of my head can rest on the block, and that's a lot more comfortable. But what I want you to be doing is relaxing and allowing your heart to open. It's actually really nice on that rolled up towel. Are you brave enough to take off the mask that you wear for yourself? If you love where you are with this block, then stay here. Otherwise, sit up, remove the block, scoot down on your mat a little bit, watch out for your furniture if relevant, and roll onto your back and lift your legs up. Come on into happy baby pose. Grab on the outsides of your feet. If you want to do a little bit more groin stretching here, you can just grab your big toe of your right foot and straighten your right leg. Maybe you grab the big toe of your left foot and straighten your left leg. Try to keep your tailbone on the ground, your back, low back on the ground as best as possible. Maybe you're just staying in happy baby. You can rock left to right a little bit. And then place your hands on the ground. Actually, straighten your legs up. Lift your head up. Bring your arms out in front of you about a foot off the ground. Drop your right leg about a foot off the ground. Lift your chest a little bit higher. Right leg back up, left leg down. Lift your chest up a little bit higher. Lift both legs up. Reach up. Grab your toes. Okay. Put your head down. Put your hands down. Use a little momentum. Plow pose. Bring your feet overhead toward the floor. And if your feet touch the floor, maybe clasp your hands and shimmy your shoulder blades toward each other. If your feet don't touch the floor, keep your hands on your low back. And then drop your hands into your low back, or rather, put your hands on your low back, drop your low back into your hands, and bring your feet up to the sky. Shoulder stand. The weight is not on your neck here. If it is, move the weight lower into your arms Maybe even shift your hips further forward, away from your head. Lower your feet back overhead. Palms flat. Roll down. Hug your knees into your chest. Rock left to right and then release your left leg long and twist. Take your right knee across your body. Turn your head to the left. Right knee to the left. Turn your head to the right. Tee your right arm out. Really notice how the exhales can help deepen this posture, make it really juicy. Come on back up to center. Hug both knees in, right leg goes long on the floor, twist. Left leg comes to the right, head and left arm tee out to the left. Exhales, deepening. That nice stretch in your back. Come on back to center, hug your knees in one more time if you want. And then release Shavasana, final resting pose. Lay on your back, palms facing up. Just be heavy. And sit. And rest. So what if we could take off our masks that we wear inside? What if instead of saying, no, it's okay, we said, no, that bothers me. And that doesn't mean you go scream at the person or whatever, but you just get really curious with your own emotions, with how you show up. And do your best to show up with what in the mindfulness tradition is called witness mind. Right? I'm not needing to be reactive to what's going on inside of me. I just want to see, oh, I am upset by this. Oh, I am frightened. For me, I don't really like walking around wearing a mask. It's uncomfortable. I said that before. And it's really upsetting to me to walk around seeing other people. What does this world come to is what I think sometimes. And then I noticed that came up for me. And I try to just breathe and smile underneath my actual physical mask and let it go. I'm going to be exploring this a little bit more in the days coming up. Thank you guys so much for joining me. I'm going to leave you here in Shavasana. If you want more, Dr. Debbie Pates on YouTube. I'd love your feedback and your comments. I mean that. Thank you for joining me. See you next Wednesday at noon. Namaste.